Welcome to Mind Your Business, the channel where we are in everybody's business. If you don't mind getting in people's business, you're on the right channel. Talking about current topics and gossip. Hey, my nosy people. Wagwan. I went to come in here and have a quick chat about, of course, the new latest episode of Ready to Love. We know it was left on a cliffhanger. Okay, so we had it down to Cornelius and Naeem, and we know that, of course, Camille was in tears. So that kind of gave us a bit of a hint that it might be Cornelius, and it was Cornelius. So I was thinking to myself, well, yes, they're saving him because clearly he don't want to save himself. You know, he says he regrets not making enough connections with the other women, which is where he went wrong in the first place. He just kind of let Camille get her hooks and then that was it. But not that surprising was Camille self-eliminating to go with him, because to me he looked I felt like he looked relieved, like, you know, okay, I'm getting eliminated, you know, such is life, maybe I can get away from Camille for a little bit and see how things go. And then she said, oh, you know what, I'm self-eliminating, so yeah, basically I'm coming with you. So she's holding on, so we'll see what happens at the reunion, whether they are still talking together or whether he kind of gone his own way. But if he can't get rid of her on TV, maybe because he's trying to, you know, save face, if they haven't got a real genuine connection, and he needs to just get to step in, and him get eliminated is a good big sign for him. But will he carry on afterwards? We will find out at the reunion. I think that, you know, she'll try to keep it going. Whether he'll decide to just let it go after watching it back, he might see that this isn't right. But anyway, long story short, both of them are gone. Naeem is still in the game, so Zadia still has that one to play. Then we go into the actual show. So we've seen, you know, who's gone now. And of course, it's getting back on with the dates. And the first date is Phil and Shiloh, which Phil recognises that he's not really been giving Shiloh much attention, because obviously he's got all these other women that he's talking to. He really needs to whittle it down. It's getting a bit ridiculous. You can see that Shiloh really likes him. But I feel like Phil is liking other women at the moment. Like, he likes Shiloh, but he's not that completely sure. So when she's telling him, yeah, I've kind of chosen you, he just gave her a kiss but didn't answer her question, which means, you know, he still isn't sure. And to me, I reckon he's going to maybe try and make a play for Sydney. We'll see what happens. Then you've got Mumine and you have Frank on a date. Frank saying that he likes Mumine, but he also really likes Sydney. To me, he likes Sydney the most and will end up going for her, is what I predict. But we shall see. So on their date, you know, Frank's being really sweet. He brings out the golf ball from when they done mini golf, which was their first date, and he's got like a little writing on it, which I think is super cute. So like, he kept it as a little memorabilia for their first date, and he's saying that, you know, he likes her. She's letting him know that, you know, things have kind of shifted, and she's kind of basically putting all her eggs in the Frank basket. And Frank's kind of, you can see in his face, kind of thinking, wow, you know, he appreciates it, but, you know, we know he's got a strong connection with Sydney. His connection with Sydney seems a little bit more stronger, and it looks to me like in his face he's not sure, but I feel like he's more leaning into the balls that way, whereas Mumine is actually saying, you know, she's decided on Frank and Frank doesn't realise she's the one yet. So, you know, we shall see how it goes, because I do like Mumine and I'd like her to obviously leave happy too. But I think she's exited from water quite quickly because of the miscommunication that happened. So then we cut to Dante. Obviously, we know that Dante has been feeling Aisha now, and they have been connecting. They had a quick get together as well. They had a little date together, Aisha and Dante. And we can see they're connecting and they're vibing quite nicely. Aisha's feeling him. She really liked the massage. He's liking her, but obviously he's got a connection with Zadia. So on to Zadia and Dante. So they have a date. And you can tell that Zadia's coming in there. She's got her back up. She's a little bit pissed because she's realised that Aisha is now her competition. And she's not feeling it. She feels like Dante's kind of ghosted her. So you can see from the body language straight away that, you know, she's kind of like, what are you going to say? So Zadia lets it know, yeah, that she's not happy about, you know, you basically cooking and giving someone a massage, Aisha, and basically ignored her for the whole weekend. But Dante feels like it's a two-way street, and she kind of had her attention elsewhere. He feels like he's been pursuing Zadia and knocking at the door, but she ain't really letting him in. Whereas, when he started talking to Aisha, obviously he felt like he's getting more of a response and, felt a bit more welcome at the door. But he then proceeds to tell her that he's basically feeling Aisha. And you can tell she's not happy, and she's saying that's the bullshit right there. And was you ever feeling me? And I feel like it's more about Aisha than it is about Dante. Whilst I do agree he could have told her beforehand, but she hasn't really been as open to him maybe as he wanted, and you can see that because she's obviously had her attention elsewhere as well. But to me, because she's got her little rivalry with Aisha, I feel like that is more what's burning her than anything. It's quite funny though, because to me, why is she overreacting? Because she is still talking to Naeem, so I don't understand what the problem is. But anyway, as Dante said, he's just chilling, he's relaxing, he's eating his vegan meal. He told her, that he's feeling Aisha just like she's feeling, Naeem. But the response was not the same. Because obviously she, like I said, the real issue there is Aisha. She's got a bugbear about her. But why she got a hate on Aisha as well, talking about you have fun with Aisha, with her long talks about nothing. Like, why have you got a hate on the woman? You've really got an issue with Aisha. If that's what he wants to have, he wants to have long talks with Aisha, what's your problem? I'm sure you're sitting there having your little chats with Naeem. Then she decides she's going to walk out, but then she decides she's going to come back again. So she storms back in to basically have a go at him and up in the man's face. Now, why are you up in the man's face, poking at his nose? No, you're out of order, because if that was the other way around and the man was up in your face, poking your face, you would be chatting about how the man's trying to assault you. But because he's chosen Aisha and he's letting you know that he likes Aisha, didn't even say he chose her, he just said he likes her. You come back to say, oh, well, because obviously he mentioned he didn't feel like, she was giving him priority. Well, you were, up into the house, you were my number one. I was going to choose you. Like, well, it's a bit late. As far as I'm concerned, if that's the way how you felt, then you should have let him know. But after the house, now since this is obviously not the case. But she's up in his face, poking the man's nose. So I'm like, no, I thought that was out of order. Then she goes on screen talking about, Aisha's dense and Aisha's dumb and all this kind of stuff. It's just like, why have you got to tear down another woman? Like, why do you feel the need to tear down another woman? If he chooses whoever he chooses, that's up to him. But why have you got to have a problem with Aisha? To me, there's something more there. And well done to Dante, because he stayed very calm, because a lot of men would not have stayed calm in that sort of situation. He stayed very calm. You can see that he was a bit shocked that she was carrying on. That's why he said, have you said your piece yet? And have you said your piece yet? And she's still going. Then she storms off again. So it's just like, really, she just embarrassed herself, made herself look really silly. And it's a bit of a shame, really. Then we cut to Walter and Sabrina have on their date. Obviously, Walter's kind of happy to have cut it down to Sabrina. Well, it actually happened because of what happened with Mimim last week. So they both kind of were like, done with you. He was obviously like, done with you. So obviously Sabrina's very happy because she's just the number one, which is what she wanted to be in the first place, because we all know that she liked Walter. And they seem to be having a nice little flirtatious chat over this dinner. But I still think she's a little bit cuckoo. I will say that, and we'll see as time goes on. But I still think they're still suited. But we shall see. You can see he still has a few red flags where he says that there's been a few things, but we'll see how it goes. So we shall see. I think the real truth is when it gets to reunion shows and we see who's still together and what really, really went down. So on the date, Sabrina shares that, growing up she was bullied, and, so obviously that had a big impact on her confidence, and how, she went to work at a gentleman's club when she was younger. What did she say? 18. So she went to go and work at a gentleman's club, and how that kind of gave her her confidence and, in life. But what I thought was interesting is how she felt like Walter kind of chose her by default. She mentions how she didn't feel like Walter calls her as much outside of being on the show. So she feels like she was chosen by default. I suppose because the whole thing that with Mimim, because I felt like Mimim and him had a really good connection, but that situation, the communication issue was an issue. And obviously, Sabrina working at a gentleman's club, that's not a big deal for some people. For some people it is. He seems like it's not massive, but I feel like it's still niggling at him. And he also knows that she's got her there's something there where they're not, I feel like he's got a question mark about Sabrina. So Sydney goes on a date with Phil, and you can see that Phil is very much into Sydney. This is what I was thinking when he was on his date with Shiloh, because I feel like he is really feeling Sydney a bit more. And he definitely, let her know that he is feeling her. They end up kissing. He was definitely putting it on. But you can see that Sydney still does like Frank and has a strong connection with Frank. I still see her being more suited with Frank. I feel like there seems more organic, whereas this one seems a little bit more on the lust side. But we shall see. But Phil is really playing games out here, though. He's really playing games with my girl Shiloh, because I thought Shiloh's quite sweet and seems quite sweet for him, but maybe not the right one. Then we move on to the men's lounge, which is always good because the guys get to chop it up and discuss what's happened with the week for the week and who they've chosen. So, nephew Tommy is speaking to the guys and seeing who's liking who. Of course, they addressed that Camille and Cornelius went last week. And then you've got, Walter talking about how he's got a strong connection with Sabrina and he's feeling her, but, he was surprised about her being a stripper. So he's processing that. Then you've got Frank talking about the fact that he's got a strong connection with Mimine and with Sydney, and how Mimine's really affectionate and he likes that. You got Phil talking about the fact that he's also got a connection with Sydney, which kind of surprised him, as well as Shiloh, and how, the connection with Sydney is a little bit different. So you can see that he's really kind of feeling Sydney. To me, he's leaning towards her. Obviously, Dante spoke about the fact that he likes Aisha and kind of started to put more of his effort into her rather than Zadia. And then you've got Naeem. Obviously, he's been liking Zadia from the start, so he's kind of got her back. So, of course, at some point, they start to ask who's giving them red flags. And I like that Dante brought up the whole incident with Zadia where he told her that he was feeling Aisha. And she kicked off and started putting her hands on him and putting her finger on his nose, which I said was bang out of order. But what's interesting is Naeem just is always in defense mode, because even when Frank brought up the Brown Girl squad earlier in the talks, you could see where he kind of was like going to try and defend her, because obviously he likes Zadia, but he cannot see that she's not even she just kept him there. She wanted Dante, but to me I think she just kept him there because it's good to have, but she's not super feeling Naeem. But he doesn't really get that, and that should be a red flag to him that she was up in Dante's face. Like, doesn't that give you inkling of that's a problem? Not to mention, Dante should just mention the fact that she said she was going to choose him. But obviously, he's going to fight for Zadia because that's his main connection, and he's got nobody else that he's really vibing with. So, of course, that's his main connection. But to me, I don't feel like Zadia is really feeling him like that. I feel like she wanted Dante, which is why she's flipped out about Aisha. But also flipping out about Aisha because she just doesn't like Aisha. So after the guys deliberated, we ended up with Phil taking Zadia out to dinner and Walter meeting up with Mimine. So we knew it was going to be Mimine and it was going to be Zadia based on how the talks went at the gentleman's lounge. Especially with Zadia's behaviour and up in the man's face. I wasn't surprised to see that Phil had to let her go, although, she said the words, not Phil, because he was kind of beating around the bush a bit. But I felt like she was still quite defensive and wasn't really taking accountability for her putting her hands in his face as much. Like, she acknowledged it, but she was more like, I had to get like somebody's mama. No, you're a grown woman putting your hand in a man's face because he told you that he's feeling somebody else that you don't like. Not okay. So to me, she had to go. Otherwise, what message are you sending? Because if that was the other way around, we wouldn't be having it. I'm sure everyone would be going crazy. Obviously, she got sent home. What I thought was really interesting, though, was so when Zadia got home, you've got Mime and Walter having their conversation, and you could see where those two, literally, it was a miscommunication to me. The way he felt like her walking away was, a bigger deal to him, and obviously, that didn't go so well. But they had a little bit of clearing the air, and obviously she stayed on because she has a good connection with Frank. Now, to me, it's going to be interesting next week because clearly Sydney has got a connection with Phil and she's got a connection with Frank. Frank's got a connection with Mimi in addition to that. So, but almost, she's on the sideline, isn't she, waiting to be chosen. Dante's got a clear connection with Aisha, but then you've got Phil has a connection with Shiloh. Now, I think it's going to be interesting because I feel like Phil might end up going for Sydney. And if Frank goes for Mimine, then that's fine. But it does mean, obviously, Shiloh's left out. Walter likes Sabrina, that's quite clear. Dante likes Aisha, that's clear. So the main mess is going to be around, affecting Mean, Sydney and Shiloh based on two guys' decisions. So we shall see what happens. But what do you guys think? What do you think of this week's episode? It was interesting that obviously Zadia's gone, and I had forgotten to mention that obviously Naeem self-eliminated. I like that he went and spoke to Tommy. I also like that Tommy kind of let it be known that maybe you weren't her number one, because otherwise why would she have kicked off? To me, he wasn't really clocking on that. Although your strongest connection's gone, clearly you might not have been her strongest connection, because to me she just kept him there as a safety the whole time in case Dante decides to go elsewhere, which is what exactly happened. But hopefully he'll take some of that advice. Who knows, they might come back on the reunion talking about their dating. You never know. The reunion always shows some different stuff going on, which I'll be interested and excited to keep an eye on and report. Now, based on next week's preview, it is looking very, very interesting. You've got the ladies having to take the guys that they like home to meet their families. Means parents don't look too impressed to know that Frank is chatting to another woman. It looks like it's all going to hit the fan with Shiloh and Phil. To me, Phil is keeping Shiloh there, but he wants Sydney. To me, Shiloh was his connection, but now Sydney's coming along. It's like something nice is coming along. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all goes on, because she's an intimacy coach. I feel like she's quite sensitive as well. So it looks like, she's upset and she's getting in his hair. So we shall see what happens. Yes, so thanks for watching that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you know when I am uploading some more of people's business. So until then, my nosy people, stay blessed.